Well, hey, everybody. This is the Super E and J podcast.
Number 3.
Episode 3. We made it to 3 episodes so far. Hopefully there's many more.
That's right.
Well, I'm Justin Bogard. My company is Bright Path Notes. And
I am Super E, also known as Elizabeth with Elizabeth Mayora.
awesome.
And I do all things Airbnb. So I've been in real estate now for almost 3 years. July 1st was my 3-year anniversary of leaving corporate.
Nice.
Yes. So
That's a big accomplishment. Scary when you think
is.
about it.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah. So just look at us now. We've got a podcast.
That's right.
Hopefully many more episodes. Well, what I do is I am a note investor, so I buy and I sell real estate mortgages after they're originated, of course. So from banks and from hedge funds and private sellers. And so I'm in the note space, and Elizabeth is obviously in the short-term rental, or they call it the Airbnb space. Mm-hmm. And so see, we last got together in June, and so what's been going on with you since then?
We've got a lot of things going on. So I had just hired a reservationist. So we have a full-time, Rebecca is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. taking care of reservations, which is a huge help
I bet.
For the team.
Yeah.
I had 2 Airbnbs that I had with business partners, and we sold those. So now we exclusively design and furnish and manage for other folks, but I am looking for commercial property. So that would be at least 5+ units, preferably 10 units. So I want to be able to short-term rental those, because I feel like if I tell other people to do it, I should be in the space as well. So
Yes. Yeah, and I haven't gotten into the commercial note space yet because I feel like it's a different world, and from what I understand, it's just like commercial real estate versus residential real estate. There's some pretty obvious differences. Comps are harder to find, and it's just, so how do you appraise a commercial building versus a residential? Residential is a lot easier because you have comparables, but commercial, you don't have as many comparables, especially if a business is tied together with it. Mm-hmm. So I haven't gotten in the commercial note space, but I know it's a space to where it can be pretty lucrative.
I never even thought about commercial notes.
Yeah.
We have a former client so their business is based here, but the one client lives in New York, the other one lives here. And my New York client bought the house so that he could stay here a bunch, and ended up not using it as much as they had planned on, so they decided to sell it. So they told me the one guy has done quite well in commercial real estate. I just had lunch with him 2 weeks ago, and he said, "You need to buy commercial." And I said, "Well, that's next on the docket." So
Well, that's cool, though, as, you teach it or you preach it, and you also do it as well. Mm-hmm. So I definitely don't preach or teach the commercial aspect of note investing because I don't personally do it. So I feel like my niche is definitely the residential. And so for now, I'm definitely sticking with that. But that's cool that you're willing to go out there and take a swing at it, so to speak.
absolutely.
So awesome. So then you got Rebecca hired, and you got her going.
Yes, she's been fantastic. Just
Awesome.
fantastic.
Well, as you can see, I didn't mention this at first, but we're obviously in a different location today, and this is actually Super E's home. We're in her living room. We're not worthy.
And actually, you helped me move some of my stuff in.
I did, that's right. That was a while ago. Was that last year or the year before?
2 years ago.
2 years ago? Yeah. You called me and you used my back.
I did, yes.
Move some things around.
Yes. And actually, this house I bought, so I bought my first 3 properties on Craigslist. And this was one of them. Yes, this was a fire damaged house. So the whole south side of my house was all fire damaged. This was all blown out.
Wow.
Yes. So I got a good deal on it.
Yeah, I would think you'd get a hefty discount on that. Mm-hmm. So that's right, because we had a common person that knew about this, the previous owner, didn't we?
Yes.
So I believe I have another networking group that I go to, and he is a HVAC sales representative. And so I was talking to him to help my friend Super E out, and he was like, "You know what? I kind of know that house." And I think it ended up being the owner of that company.
Yes.
Is it his family lived here, or somebody that he knew lived here?
He lived here.
Oh, he lived here.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that was kind of crazy how that story, came full circle there. That's interesting.
It's a small world.
Very small world. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what's been going on with you. That's cool.
Yeah. And what about you? What's new in the note space?
I had closed about 10 loans in the month of June. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. So I have an administrative assistant as well that they're getting up to speed on how to close things and how to work in the note space with me. So it was a good time to get them, kind of just throw them in the pool, let them swim a little bit, and she helped a lot. So I'm very grateful to have that. I can see why, how businesses can really grow quickly once they get people on board to kind of facilitate some of the tasks that, salespeople or business owners need to focus on other things. And so it's eye-opening. I know we talked about that a lot in the last episode, where administrative assistants can help a lot. Especially mine's a VA, so she is in the state of Georgia, I believe, and so it's funny. We've only had like 1 or 2 phone calls. I think we've had 2 phone calls since I've been working with her, and everything else has been through email or through an online communication platform, which is kind of neat. Because she's very sharp. I mean, I can give her a task, and it's not rocket science. She figures it out pretty quickly, and actually adds more value than what I give her too. So it's been pretty helpful. So we closed a bunch of loans then, and let's see, I have sold my personal house, so that's been kind of a challenge as well. So I've had to get my house ready to sell, then I had to put on the market, and then I had multiple offers. Of course, we're in a hot market here. I live in a place in Indianapolis, just north of Indianapolis, called Fishers, and it's kind of a hot spot for real estate. And so that was kind of fun. So I'm still going through the process of getting a house sold. I've got one under contract. The house that I'm living in, my current house I'm selling, I got under contract, and so that's going to be fun to get that out of the way. But then I got the whole thing of moving. So that's a whole new venture there that I'll have to get everything together, put in storage, and so that's just the fun of buying and selling real estate and then doing it yourself. So.
Which if you need help, I would be happy to help. So
I will use this, and now it's recorded to know that she offered. So we'll have
Turnabout's fair play, right?
That's right. Yep. We'll use your vehicles.
Oh, you know what? So when we furnish properties, I mean, we buy usually around, depending on how big it is, anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 to $3,000 worth of stuff on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, we have really nice boxes, so we're getting ready to furnish 3 properties, so I can save boxes if you'd like.
So every time you furnish a property, you spend a couple $1,000s just in the furnishings, like couches and tables?
No. This is just stuff we buy on Amazon.
Oh, there's more to it.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. So we're getting ready to do a duplex that's 1 bedroom, 1 bath on each side. So that total, I think the quote was somewhere, it'll be like $12,000 to furnish it. But that's everything. Everything from
$12,000.
But we get an empty house, so it's everything from Q-tips in the bathroom to couches to pillows, curtains.
And you're installing it, hanging everything up, and bringing it in.
55-inch TVs, that's absolutely everything in a house. Rugs, all the decorations.
So the client fronts the money, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's their property.
So they're buying the house, they're having you renovate the house too?
In some cases, yes.
Wow. So someone could have bought this house if it wasn't you, and you would have had to renovate the fire damaged house. Then you would have had to get it up to code and pass inspection. Then you would have to furnish it as well. Wow, okay. And then you would find the clientele to come in and rent the rooms, right? Or the house.
All of our guests, yes.
Wow. That's a pretty involved project. So
it is.
I'm continuing to learn more and more about it when I get to talk to you. So it's kind of fun to hear these things. I had no idea that you were spending that kind of money, or the client was spending that kind of money to furnish the house. I just assumed it was like staging, like a few $1,000s.
Oh no!
So I'm,
Well, in staging, the reason why, like, we've had stagers that have done houses, not for us, but stagers use nice stuff, but they use all lightweight stuff so they can move it from house to house.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so we can't have that in an Airbnb or VRBO because these are commercial properties.
Right.
So we have to buy heavier
somebody's
duty.
living here, dwelling here temporarily, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, and
makes sense.
We buy as much as we can local, as much as we can. But there's some things that our local stores just do not keep in stock. And when we're furnishing, we normally do it within 2 weeks, which is really quick. I mean, it's everything. We're ready to roll. We're live. We're on the OTAs.
Wow.
And so we rock and roll when we furnish.
So then do you have like standard drapes you use, standard couches, or it's totally, because you're theme based, so you really have to be creative and go outside the box, and you have to be like, I want this to be this theme, and so you might have a beach theme, and then so you're buying colors that fits the beach theme and the styles and stuff. So do you have a design background or a design degree?
I don't. No.
So you're like Joanna Gaines. You just kind of wing it, just make it happen.
That's right. My mom's a good
HGTV person right here.
Yeah, that's right. We'd love to be on.
Yeah. Did you write in to?
We did.
Send a video in for it. Is it for this business?
Yeah, we've connected with some people on LinkedIn, but nothing
That's
came
as far
of
as it
it.
went?
But yeah.
Yeah, I imagine they probably get so many people do that it's hard for them to weed through applications, if you will. But that's cool. At least you did it. You know?
Yeah, we tried, and not to say that we won't try again for sure.
Yeah. Well, Indianapolis is a hotbed really for investors, so I can imagine. I mean, we already have one show here, the Two Chicks and a Hammer show, and so why not there be a few more?
Exactly,
You know?
and totally different. And actually what's kind of cool, we have an investor from California. He stayed with us last month for 2 weeks. He's with us again. He's at a different property because that property was booked up. But tomorrow he moves to the other property that is his favorite. So, yeah, it's kind of cool.
Nice.
Kind of really cool.
Nice. So, yeah, I have a better understanding now of what it takes to do what you do, the property management aspect of it, and that's facilitating. So you have a couple people helping you obviously move every time, and it's just you and your crew, or do you hire out like 2 men in a truck or whatever service is out there?
Well, now what we do, because when you are running your business and you realize all these efficiency steps all the times and things that you would not ever do again. Yeah. So now everything from Amazon comes here, and then my dad, who has very bad health, he actually comes and he'll sit here on the couch and he'll open all of our stuff from Amazon and get everything prepped for us. Which
that's a good idea, because you're probably getting a couple hundred boxes of stuff, right?
It's my garage, my one bay in the garage will be totally full.
So he's got to break them down and obviously get them compact where he can store the boxes too, to maybe use them for my move.
Well, he just unboxes everything for us, and like all the silverware and stuff, because we buy really good utensils, and they're all wrapped up. Every single one of them is wrapped up. So my dad takes all those out for us. And then he unboxes this stuff in the boxes. So when we get to the properties, we clean out the cabinets, of course. We sanitize all of that. So now I hire a company. Nick is great. He's our mover. So everything comes here, and then he takes all of our stuff to the property, and then he moves all of our furniture for us, because we buy almost all the furniture we buy locally.
Nice.
And so he moves that for us as well.
That's one thing I noticed about you, is that when you started out in this business, when you were doing your social media on LinkedIn and Instagram and stuff, is that you were trying to promote the local businesses too. Like with the you use Tinker Coffee. I know that one. It's just a name I won't forget. I don't know why Tinker is just.
It's a fun name.
It's a fun name, yeah. And so that was just kind of cool. I'm like, that's a great idea, because now you're promoting them, and then you can bring them into the mix, and obviously they can promote you and be like, hey, did you know that there's Airbnbs by Elizabeth Mayora down the street, or Fountain Square, I think, is where you kind of started some of them, right?
Yes.
And Fountain Square is a pretty popular area, which is where that HGTV show was started filming. I believe they kind of made their way over to Bates Hendricks, and maybe they're back and forth now, but that kind of made that spot really hot.
Oh, I didn't know they were the ones that's cool, that started that.
Yeah, because I had a couple of houses in 2016 that I was flipping in Fountain Square, and I remember they had already filmed like maybe a season or two before they actually put it on the air, and so they were there a little bit before I was there, and they were in the north part of Fountain Square.
Okay.
And so I drove by some of the houses that they did over there, and I was just like, it was pretty amazing. I mean, they like really did a great job. And it's so funny. You see this house that's just totally dilapidated, and then you got this house next to it. It's just like, it's a brand new, totally modern house with all the modern designs and finishes on it. It's just pretty odd to see that, But eventually, after a few years, you drive down there and you'll probably see all the houses will be more modern, and there'll be very few houses that just haven't changed yet because maybe the homeowners didn't want to move or didn't want to sell.
It's true.
So, anyways,
Fountain Square is a very eclectic place, and actually, I don't know. A few months ago, I was flying somewhere and United, they had a full page ad on Fountain Square on some of the cool different businesses there. So Fountain Square is very well known outside of here in Indianapolis as well.
That's cool. So then, is that area more of an Airbnb hotspot or is it VRBO?
Right. So in VRBO is vacation rental by owner. People love it. I mean, we're sold out right now. We do have the Beachbody conference going on right now. So what this means, yeah, exactly, is people, only our Europeans and our Beachbody people cook in our properties.
Huh.
That's it. So so our kitchens are getting used, which is nice because we have very nice kitchens and they're fully equipped kitchens as well. Fountain Square is hugely popular for us.
I notice you've gotten a lot of good reviews lately that at least you've been posting. I'm sure you get reviews all the time, but you definitely get some good reviews from people that stay in there. And just everything you've been explaining is exactly why people should use somebody like you in their local area, or for here in Indianapolis, you need to use Elizabeth. But that's exactly why, because of all those little details that you're going through and all the effort that you put into it. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing business. I don't know what the numbers are like, but I'm sure obviously you wouldn't be doing it if the numbers weren't good,
I am in business to make money.
Yes, this is not a nonprofit. It's not a charity.
That's right.
It is a for-profit business.
That's right.
So,
it's kind of interesting because one of the issues we've had, because it's been so hot and humid here.
Yeah.
I was on call last week, and in our most luxurious property, it's a beautiful built home. Our basement was at 66 degrees. The first floor was at 70, and the second floor was at 70 degrees also, and my guest thought that it was not cold enough.
Huh.
So I got calls every day. One day I got 3 calls. I'm like, well, it's summertime, and it's only set on 70 degrees, and the house is staying at 70.
So, the furnace or the air conditioning is just running and running and running and running. Yeah, they're just not, are they not from here?
They're from California, so they're used to...
But it's a dry heat out there. It's not humid.
That's true.
Maybe that's what the difference is.
That's true.
I say that laughingly because I heard somebody say that before. It's a dry heat, so it's okay. It's still hot. It's hot.
But 66 degrees. I mean, guess they can do whatever they want. That we want them to be comfortable while they're in our houses. But 66 degrees, and they were happy with that in the basement. It's a fully the basement's awesome. Fully, what do you call it? Not furnished. Well, it is fully furnished, but.
Finished and drywalled and carpeted or whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but and we have the Nest thermostat there. So I was actually checking that every hour. And just a plug for blackout curtains. We did do additional blackout curtains in the hallway upstairs, and that took 4 degrees off.
Wow.
So they are well worth the money. They are very inexpensive, so blackout curtains will save you money.
Did you get those at Costco?
We did not. They don't have them anymore.
They don't?
No.
I know you had told me for my personal house. I call her when I'm trying to look for some good prices on different things like with rods and stuff. And you told me to go to Costco. I was like, holy cow! I was like, you're right. These are very affordable and they do the job. So I got it all throughout my house.
Good.
Except for one bedroom. One of my daughter's bedroom doesn't have the ones from the Costco store that you sent me to.
Okay.
But every other room does, and it does make a difference, especially upstairs because obviously heat rises, and then, but yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's never a dull moment.
I bet not. I bet you have some amazing stories. I know you told me stuff off camera, some funny stories. So I'm sure you've got plenty more, and we'll hear more as well.
Yeah, but what about some stories from notes? Give us some insight, Justin.
I don't hear a whole lot from the borrowers because my loan servicer is the one that communicates with them. So we really don't know what's going on unless there's a problem.
Okay.
So what is funny, though, is that when you own a land contract, me as the bank, I'm on the deed, okay? And so the borrower is living in the house and they're making installment payments every month, so they're gaining equitable title, every month technically. And then when they give me the entire amount they owe, then I sign over the deed over to them and convey that to them. But for a land contract, so you get stuck as the deeded owner. So sometimes, you just got to deal with the punches. Well, the punches sometimes can be kind of annoying because you'll get the tax notifications if, once the taxes are due. And then you'll also get, like, if they have any liens or violations or order of repairs, as they have in Indy, you'll get those notices as well. And you're just like going like, what is going on? And so then your first reaction is like, oh my God, like, is the house trashed? What's going on? Then you take a deep breath after you realize it's just, a code enforcer that just sees some trash in the yard or something, and they just, write somebody. I mean, you know how it is in Indy area. I mean, they're trying to make it great in the area by trying to make people not have broken down cars in the streets or in the driveways. Try to clean it up and not make it look so blighted. Mm-hmm. But it can also be kind of scary when you get a letter from the city going, here's a nuisance lien or whatever. And so that's when you have a land contract. That's what's interesting. The first thing you do is be like, oh my God, they're not paying their sewer bill. Well, they could have been like 10 days late, and the local municipality is just sending out letters and stuff. So that's been kind of interesting. I got some of those lately.
Okay.
But they're pretty easy to resolve. I pretty much just show my loan servicer, and they just take care of it with the escrow account, which is another great reason to have an escrow account for your borrowers when you create loans, so that you already have that money in supply that you can just, this loan servicer can just push it out and not have any more delinquencies with any of those municipality accounts.
So do you require that for your borrowers to have?
If the loan's already originated, I can't do anything about that, but just have the loan servicer reach out to them, be like, hey, it would make things easier for you if you let us escrow your taxes and insurance or your HOA, whatever they have, whatever their annual or monthly, costs are for that part of it. But once the land contract, the note and mortgage is created, it's already said in there if they're paying it outside of escrow or they're paying it with an escrow. Mm-hmm. So you hope that it has an escrow account.
Okay.
But if you don't, it's not the end of the world. It's just you got to trust but verify. Mm-hmm. So in Indiana here, our taxes are due on like May 10th and November 10th. Mm-hmm. So then you're just running a report, after the 10th of those 2 months to see if they've been paid or not. And it's pretty easy. We can go to most counties' websites just to see if it's been paid or up to date. And the interest on some of the properties around here are pretty nominal. I mean, you're talking a few bucks a day maybe, or less than that. It's not that bad. Once you go 8-10 months down the road, then it starts to add up a lot as the bank. But then you just trust but verify. But that's why the note and mortgage is so great, because you're not on the deed. So I always try and get my investors that work with me to go after the note and mortgage. Will be our primary search engine, to filter by that first, and then break it down from there based on their other criteria. And so land contracts are still okay to buy. It's just they get kind of annoying with that. Having those types of nuisances, I guess, if you will.
Okay.
But no real crazy stories. I did help out an investor, actually one of my mentors.
Oh.
She had a property up in Muncie to where she bought it as a performing loan, and then it kind of went south on her. And I went up there, and it was in pretty bad shape. Mm-hmm. Basically, it went through a bankruptcy, and then a foreclosure. So it was basically empty for a year or two. And but she's a smart investor because she bought it at a good enough price to where she's going to be able to sell it as is and not have to worry about losing any money. Technically, she just didn't get any cash flow for a few years. Okay. But that's what's good about being a savvy note investor, is that when you anticipate things like that, you protect yourselves when you buy. And so you have that protection. So she had some cash flow for a while, and then life happens, and unfortunately, very, very horrible things happen to borrowers or the spouses of borrowers, and they can't do anything about it because they lose half their income all of a sudden, just like that. So I haven't personally been through any of the horror stories of that. I know people that homes have burnt down when they own notes and mortgages, but that's why you have homeowners insurance policies to where, me as the bank is the loss payee, and so you're covered. So the insurance company will pay for the unpaid balance amount.
Oh, really?
And so that's what, when you have a mortgage for your house, that's the endorsement that you're signing on the homeowner's policy, is that say, hey, whatever bank, Chase Bank or whatever you want to call it, J.P. Morgan Bank is the loss payee or the mortgagee on the endorsement. So then they know that there's a lien and they're entitled to get paid. And then I even have some sellers that I've been working with have actually been creating life insurance policies for the borrowers. Okay. Which is it's actually a good idea, because it really helps the borrower more than anything, because they don't have to worry about, especially if it's a husband, wife, and they're working class people, so they don't have a large income coming in. They make good enough money to make their mortgage and everything else. But if they have that life insurance policy that they pay for, it pays off the mortgage if something happens to where they don't need to get in default. So then it's really good as the note investor, but it's also great for the borrower too. So I learned about that this year, because I had never heard of that before until I saw somebody doing that, and I was like, you know what, that's a great idea to have life insurance policy for your borrowers from day one, because they're not that expensive if you're just paying for the unpaid balance. And our unpaid balances on most of these loans, are less than $100,000. Okay. So the coverage isn't going to be that great.
That's a good point. Yeah. And even just a plug on life insurance, even though I'm single, but I have a very large policy so that all my bills are paid and my family can go have a party. They can have a lot of parties. They can buy real estate. They can do all kinds of fun things. So if you don't have your affairs in order, life happens, especially if you do have a family, if you do have your own kids and stuff. I would just highly encourage anybody to make sure they've got insurance in place.
Well, an estate plan.
Yes, absolutely.
I just went through an updated estate plan for our family, so it's not the fun stuff to talk about, really, but it is necessary to where at least I know I have a peace of mind of knowing everything is in order the way that we want it to happen. So everything's protected. And then who's going to run your business?
I know. And you know what? I had this conversation actually with my team before I went to China. So I went to China in April for vacation for 2 weeks. So I told them before I left I wanted them to think about it if they would be interested in buying it or whatever for, if something were to happen to me. So I will revisit. I told them I just wanted them to think about it for several months, and then this fall we'll revisit it. But I'll have a whole succession place.
That's a great idea.
Or a succession plan in place.
So a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners for what we do in real estate, don't have a succession plan or even think about that. It's like they're just like, why would I want to pay for that now? I'm young. It's just like, well, it's a set it and forget it thing. It's just like you put it together, you put it on the shelf and be like, okay, it's done with, so that part's taken care of. Because you never know. I mean, you just never know with things. Maybe you just, you get hurt and you're on long-term disability and you can't run your business like you used to because you're just not able to physically do it or, for whatever reason. But have a succession plan.
Yes.
Get an estate plan. Talk to your local attorney, or I'm sure both of us can refer you attorneys if you're local here.
Absolutely.
We'll get some referral bucks for that.
And also, just you mentioned the disability. I'm getting ready next week to do my disability insurance. So I would highly encourage you as well to do. I can't get short-term, but short-term is only 3 months, so that's no big deal. But long-term disability is anything beyond 3 months. So I would highly encourage you to look into that as well.
Short-term disability, short-term rentals.
That's right.
I don't know where I come up with this stuff. Well, Super-E, I think we've exhausted our time for today for episode 3.
All right.
I appreciate you going along this journey with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
And so that's kind of all we have for today. You have any closing thoughts for this episode number 3?
I would say that, so the cicadas are out here in Indiana, which it's an insect. They came out on Sunday, which means 6 weeks until fall. So I would just make sure everybody is enjoying the outside warm weather wherever you are, if you do like the warm weather.
Oh, that's very nice. The cicadas. I've probably gotten bitten by a few. I've got some new bug bites now. I'm not sure how it happened. I think I was at the pool too much.
Ooh.
But so that's pretty much a wrap And so until episode number 4, we'll see you all next month. Take care.
Bye.